What? I can't.
Am I the asshole for disabling my boyfriend's access to my Peloton account when he wasn't talking to me?
No, immediately. That's the perfect thing to do.
So my boyfriend has had a rough 2020 because he loves to travel and he got laid off from his job at a very big commercial airline that allowed him to travel the world for free. Learning his uncle was diagnosed with cancer in December just added insult to the injury. He went into a pretty deep depression and gained a considerable amount of weight, and I've tried to be supportive by letting him use all of my memberships for free so he can save money while he looks for a job. I have been cooking healthy meals, and I gave him access to my Peloton account so he could do his own workouts from home while I'm at work. We got into a really big argument last week because I fell asleep during a movie. This is his pet peeve, and there have been times in the past where he has stormed out of my place because I have fallen asleep during movies or shows he's suggested.
Poor thing is sleepy.
When we were in therapy at one point, he said when I fall asleep, it makes him feel like I'm disengaged, and I totally respected and promised I would inform him when I was either too tired to watch something or was getting sleepy while we were watching something. Last weekend, he suggested we watch a documentary, and 15 minutes into the documentary, he asked me if I was falling asleep, and I said I was getting sleepy, but I wasn't sleeping. 2 minutes later, he insisted that I was sleeping. He said he could hear me breathing loudly, and when I denied it, he accused me of lying about falling asleep.
That is so funny. Were her eyes open?
Have you seen that meme where it's like the little, I don't know, whatever it is, like a frog or an alien, its eyes and its mouth is just like barely cracked open, and it's like, I'm still awake watching it.
But he said the problem wasn't that I was sleeping, it was that I was lying about it.
Oh, Christ.
I told him I was tired and did not want to deal with his tantrums, and we called it a night.
How old are these people, I do wonder, because it's sounding early 20s.
Yeah.
When I texted him the following morning, I didn't hear back, so I started to get worried. I saw that he had accessed my Peloton account less than an hour before and figured maybe he was still upset and he just needs space. But he didn't call or text me back that day for 5 days and continued to use my account each of those 5 days.
Hell no.
When I still haven't heard a word from him after 5 days, I disabled his access to my account.
Yeah,
Go off.
as is your right.
Yeah.
He accused me of being emotionally abusive when I did that.
Projection.
According to him, I should have known he is not in a good place right now and might need space. He claimed to be doing some 14-day mind-body meditation challenge that I interfered with. I felt bad, but I told him he could have communicated that to me.
Yes.
But since he chose to ghost me instead, I had no way of knowing. Am I the asshole?
No, you're
No.
not. And that's the thing is like, people are going to make you feel like the asshole when you know how to set boundaries. And she set a boundary.
Gently.
I can hear my neighbor talk to his cat. Every day when my neighbor comes home from work, he unlocks his door and says, "Hello, Kevin," and Kevin the cat meows back in greeting.
Sweet.
Our apartment building is small, and I can hear nearly everything that happens in the communal hallways in my living room. I don't know my neighbor at all, not even his name, but I know his cat. My neighbor also likes to smoke a lot of weed. No shame, I like to indulge too, just not every day. I work from home and live alone, but hearing "Hello, Kevin" has become a part of my routine. It makes me smile every time. Yesterday, I heard the normal "Hello, Kevin" greeting and Kevin's meow. I later smelled the blunt he smoked, then I heard him go into the laundry room and come back. But then I heard something odd. Kevin's meowing was super loud and he sounded pissed. I waited a little while, but Kevin persisted. I opened up my door and saw Kevin outside the neighbor's door. He was practically screaming and jumping up to hit the door with his little paws. Inside the apartment, I heard my neighbor echoing Kevin's cries. Meow. Meow. My neighbor sounded frantic and desperate, calling "Kevin" over and over again. I walked up to the door and knocked. I heard my neighbor pause, then quietly, with amazement and perhaps fear, repeat, "Kevin?" At last minute, I decided to dart back into my apartment and softly close the door, listening while my neighbor let Kevin in. He whispered, "How did you do that, Kevin?"
Oh my God, I love it.
I've been laughing to myself about it since it happened, imagining my stoned, out of his mind neighbor contemplating how his cat human knocked on his door. XXX.
Oh, I love it.
I know. There is a little bit of an edit. It's just, "Hello, everyone. I'm so glad this brought joy to other people. It makes me so happy that this has been a bright spot in people's day. I'm dumbfounded by how much attention this has gotten. Thank you so much for the awards. I wish I could respond to every comment and tell you how amazing I think you are. I'm a longtime Reddit user, and I never thought some dumb thing I did would make so many people laugh. I don't have many pictures of Kevin to share. I don't want to invade his privacy. I only see him when he monitors my trips to and from my car, but I can give a description of what he looks like. Kevin is a small cat with long grayish hair. He looked fluffy, but not chunky. He was very skittish and kept his distance, so I think he's probably pretty shy and aloof. He has tremendously big eyes, but I'm not sure if that's his panicked look or not. Maybe, since he was locked out. I added that maybe part. I hope everyone has a great day, week, life. Give your pets a pat for me.
That was just the sweetest. I mean, come on.
My 37 male, wife 35 female was in a man's hotel room at 1:30 in the morning. My wife of nearly 10 years has a history of straying, but that was prior to marriage and only happened once. There have been other suspicious circumstances, including once when a man that she says was her designated driver stayed overnight at our apartment while I was out of town, but she insists nothing happened. Recently, my wife went to a work conference with several male colleagues. On the first night there, they all went out to bars. That went well past midnight. We share our locations on our phones, and I hadn't heard from her, so I checked her location. She was at a hotel that wasn't hers. I FaceTimed her and she didn't pick up. I called again and she picked up with the phone facing towards the ceiling and wall corner, with her from the shoulders up. I heard a male voice for half a second and then complete silence. She was eating a slice of pizza. I asked her what she was doing and she said, "Eating pizza?" I asked her where and she didn't answer. She looked nervous. I asked her to spin the phone around so I could see what was going on. She hung up instead. I called her back and she didn't answer. I called again and she picked up and was walking fast through a hotel hallway. She made it outside and we talked on the way back to her hotel. She was nervously grinning the entire way back. She was very drunk. She was acting sort of angry with me. I'm not sure about what. Angry I called? Angry at the obvious sort of implied situation? I asked her to explain the situation and she says that she left the bar with 2 male coworkers to return to a hotel room where another male coworker had pizza. She says that she didn't realize how the situation looked until I called her and that she then panicked. She says that she didn't pan the phone around because she knew I would be upset. When I pointed out that she immediately told me that she was there with 3 men, so what information was she hiding by not showing me the room? She then said that she didn't pan the phone around because it would have been embarrassing. No, that whole situation is up. That is so wrong. I feel so bad for him, man. I'm trying to figure this out and come to terms with whatever happened. My gut feeling is that maybe she is lying and there was only 1 man there and they were doing more than eating pizza or planning on it. Otherwise, my thought is that it is obviously inappropriate and crosses boundaries she knows that I have. So at best, it is extremely disrespectful to me and our marriage. I'm trying to figure out if we should get divorced. She insists this is all because she wanted a slice of pizza. Is that realistic? Am I being gaslit? Please help.
Am I wrong for embarrassing my father by offering to stop telling my children that I love them? I have 2 children ages 15 and 16 and call the boy boy and the girl girl. I love The Simpsons and I always thought it was funny how Homer referred to Bart as boy and Bart called him Homer. With my father though, everything was yes sir, no sir. I also constantly tell my kids I love them and how proud I am. The thing is, for some reason, the name thing really upsets my dad. He was over last weekend and was ranting, saying that I'm hurting his grandchildren by not calling them by their names. I told him that my kids were happy and to leave it alone, but he wouldn't drop it. So I called my kids over to where we were and I asked them if they wanted to be called their names instead of boy or girl. I said that in return they would have to call me sir, not daddy or dad. I said I would accept father in emotional conversations, but I would no longer remind them every day I loved them and was proud of them. They both said they were happy with how things were and they knew what my relationship with my father is like. Am I wrong for embarrassing my father by offering to stop telling my children I love them? My kids responded that they loved the current situation and they knew what my relationship with my father was like. My father got all pissed off and said that's not what he wanted at all. So I asked my father how often he told my sisters and I he loved us or was proud of us and our accomplishments or just his people. His response was that it was a different time and that his father was worse than him. So I asked my dad if he thought my kids were happier than myself and my sisters growing up and pointed out my kids are happy and reasonably well adjusted. Now he's being all pissy and my mom says he's upset that I think he was a bad father. He wasn't a bad father. He was just emotionally distant and I hated it. My sisters both went to therapy to choose better men because they fell in love with any guy who gave them attention. Well, now my daughter knows her worth and won't settle for anything but best, and my son has no problem hugging me and telling me or his mom about his life. I know they're teens and I don't know everything that's going on with them, but I'm trying my best and trying to support. Am I wrong for secretly ordering chicken wings after my vegetarian mother-in-law cooked for me? So I'm currently pregnant and lately I've been experiencing some really strange cravings. Before meeting my husband, I grew up non-vegetarian, but I made the switch to vegetarian after we got together. It's important to note that my husband and his entire family are strict vegetarians. Recently, my mother-in-law came to stay with us to help when the baby's born, and 2 days ago, she made me a meal. It was a special meal that she prepared just for me, and I truly appreciated the effort and the thoughtfulness. I ate everything she made and did compliment her cooking. However, throughout the entire meal, I couldn't help but think about chicken wings. The craving was so overwhelming that after lunch, I ordered some chicken wings for myself and disposed of the waste in the kitchen bin. Of course, completely forgetting that my mother-in-law would see it when she used the bin. Well, surely enough, later that evening, she found the wrappers and confronted me. She was visibly upset and felt hurt, believing that I didn't like her food.